All right, so very, very, very exciting times for all cosmonauts recently. Osmosis just launched a couple of weeks ago. Gravity DEX is around the corner. Tendermint dropped another bomb, which is Emeris, a cross-chain DeFi portal that's going to launch this month, also in July. So I couldn't have a better guest than the CEO of Tendermint, Peng Zhong. He's joining me today and answering all questions around Emeris, around Gravity DEX, and also obviously the role of Atom, and also IBC and the whole plans to reach that magic vision that you guys have of onboarding 1 million chains to build the internet of blockchains. But first things first, Peng, thank you so much for taking the time. You must be crazy busy. How is everything going?
Everything is going very well. Like you said, things are incredibly busy here with product launches coming up. But I'm really excited, and the team is really, passionate about what they're building, and we're so looking forward to sharing, these tools with you guys.
Yeah, so am I, and so is the whole cosmonaut community. There has also been explosive growth on social media, Twitter. I see more and more YouTubers also covering Cosmos now and finally getting onto the kind of multi-chain future, because I think this whole concept of like chain maximalism, I think that's kind of getting more and more a thing of the past. So really excited to be talking with you today about all these things which basically contribute to that vision of connecting chains and also sovereign technologies. But let's start with the elephant in the room. You just announced that today, Emeris. I just read the announcement, but maybe you can expand on that, what Emeris is, which product it contains, and why it's probably relevant.
Yeah, so I'm incredibly excited about Emeris. I've wanted to build this thing for many years. So I joined the company, as the first designer and as the first employee in late 2015. And I've always wanted to make, DeFi and, crypto in general accessible to as many people as possible. And over the past 6 years, we've been, all sort of heads down focused on infrastructure. First it was Tendermint Core, building the consensus layer of the Cosmos SDK. Then it was the Cosmos SDK itself, building a modular toolkit to build chains. And, I've helped to build the first wallet, right? Designed the first wallet, designed the first block explorer, developed the first block explorer for Cosmos. And I've seen the ecosystem, take what's available, right, through Cosmos APIs and build some wonderful things, build some wonderful wallets. Kepler is really amazing, right? I think without Kepler, there'd be, a lot more difficulty around accessing Cosmos chains right now. But I am, a designer at heart, and I wanted to build something that, suited my taste, and also I believe will bring Cosmos to mainstream. So that's what Emeris is. And yeah, the team has been working incredibly hard on getting this ready to go sometime next week, right after the Gravity DEX launch on Monday.
Awesome. So can you expand on that? So Gravity DEX, as I read from the announcement, is going to be one part of it, right? Gravity DEX is a protocol, so Emeris is going to be the interface which gets access to Gravity. But can you talk about some other features there, and also so that people can understand, like, how this plugs into the current DeFi ecosystem? Everybody wants to earn yields. We're all spoiled now. Osmosis just launched with crazy APIs, and cosmonauts are making solid profits there. Can you talk us through how that will look like, and also differentiate in the short term? Because I think initially we'll have already chains that already have implemented IBC, but also in the long run, how it's going to be looking like eventually in a couple of years when you onboard millions of users. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll go over the roadmap real quick. So first of all, like you've said, and like we've mentioned in our blog post, Emeris is the primary way to interact with the Gravity DEX protocol, right? That means if you want to use the exchange, which is coming to the hub on Monday, you'll want to use Emeris. And in the beginning, right, that's the primary feature. That's what's coming next week. But we're very ambitious, and we want to build as much support for as many chains as possible. So one of the biggest parts of Emeris that doesn't get discussed much, but I'm happy to expand on it here because we have a fairly more technical crowd, is IBC infrastructure. It's actually a lot of work. So piecing together a backend that can allow users to manage their funds on multiple blockchains and send tokens across chains, to the Cosmos hub and away from the Cosmos hub, do potentially, very complicated tasks like send atoms from, the hub to Akash, and then from Akash to Terra, and then from Terra to, to Regen, and from Terra, and from Regen back to the Cosmos hub. All of this sort of thing is actually supported in Emeris, and there's no other wallet that does that. Right. So right now, we've seen a lot of people really excitedly use Osmosis, right? But Osmosis is just one decentralized app in Cosmos, right? And the UI is designed to allow you to, deposit funds on Osmosis and use it on Osmosis. Mm-hmm. So you can do a very similar thing, with the Gravity DEX on the Cosmos hub. However, what Emeris offers on top of that is the ability to take tokens you have, on Osmosis right now, return them back to their originating chain. Let's say you have Akash on Osmosis right now, and you have Akash in a liquidity pool with Osmo on Osmosis. So you have to take your tokens out of the liquidity pool, which splits them into 2 tokens and puts them back onto Osmosis. And then from there, right, you would take the tokens from Osmosis, and through Kepler right now, you would send them back to the Akash network. So what Emeris supports is all of that functionality in one UI, one unified UI. So you're able to take liquidity from Osmosis and put it directly on the Gravity DEX in a very streamlined flow. And that's only with 2 chains. So we see the future, of lots of tokens interacting with lots of chains, potentially all at the same time. And you want some centralized way of managing that. The way Kepler is designed, right, you sort of have one view for every single, different blockchain and the tokens you have on that blockchain. With Emeris, we're taking a different approach. We're taking a token-first approach. So you get to see all of your tokens across every blockchain that you hold an account on, and from there, administer your tokens across chain. So we feel it's a more natural, more intuitive way for you to look at your balance, and it should be a multi-chain balance and not just a single chain balance.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the core challenges that we still need to overcome in the crypto space. Because right now, if you like coin A or coin B, you have to download 2 separate wallets, and probably one has a better interface for a browser extension, the other one has a better application for it to store, right? So I think it's time to aggregate that all into one interface, which is also why I'm so excited about everything that you guys are basically doing, or that Cosmos does, right? There's more companies involved that build other exciting products. But yeah, I like that approach. And you already mentioned, well, you talked a lot about connecting and bringing other chains to that. What role does the Gravity Bridge play in that? So the Gravity Bridge, for those who don't know, is basically bringing compatibility to EVM chains, right? Like Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon, for example. What role does Gravity Bridge play in that? And is there already a launch date for Gravity Bridge?
Yeah, so Gravity Bridge is on the Cosmos Hub roadmap. Right, it's being brought to its final ready state for deployment by the Althea team, and the Interchain team is also working on making sure the next possible upgrade will include Gravity Bridge. Right now, the target is sometime in Q3. We don't know exactly when Gravity Bridge will land, because that depends on the votes coming from Atom stakers. But that's meant to be the very next upgrade, following the Gravity DEX. And so why is the Gravity Bridge significant? Well, a lot of activity right now happens on Ethereum, but not just Ethereum, but in fact, over the course of the first 6 months of the year, a lot of activity has been moving from Ethereum to other EVM platforms like Binance Smart Chain, like Polygon, like Phantom. And it's becoming a trend that every blockchain ecosystem has their own version of the EVM on their chain, right? They really want to court Solidity developers. They see how many developers Ethereum has, and they want to bring some of those over. And the easiest way to do that is to support Solidity, support the EVM, and allow developers to essentially copy and paste their smart contracts over to a potentially more scalable platform, and to beat ETH 2.0 at its own game of offering proof of stake, EVM based blockchains. So the Gravity Bridge, right, in the beginning, it will connect Cosmos to Ethereum, like in a 2-way bridge, and Emeris will be the default way for you to use the Gravity Bridge as well. So you can see, people with balances on both the ETH ecosystem and the Cosmos ecosystem be able to see them in the same interface for the first time ever, which I'm looking forward to, right? I'm looking forward to seeing combined balance of all my tokens across Gravity Bridge. But in the the very near future after that, I think atom seekers will have the ability to vote to integrate more than just Ethereum mainnet. Like you can integrate Binance Smart Chain, imagine integrating Polygon, Matic as well. And this will sort of cement the Cosmos Hub as the place where interchain activity takes place.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And a big question that my community and basically a lot of cosmonauts have already in that context. Maybe you can start with Emeris and then expand to the entire utility. Is basically the question of the utility of Atom, right? Obviously, the primary utility and probably the most important one by far is securing the hub, right? Securing the Cosmos Hub. That's also the place where most innovation probably happens. And IBC was first integrated there, and all those kind of things are happening there. But can you talk us through the role of Atom for Emeris, also for Gravity DEX, and how you see the accrued value over the next couple of months or years with all those new implementations that are in the roadmap?
Yeah, so I can't speculate on the value of the atom, but I can tell you that, Emeris, his primary goal, right, is to support the Cosmos Hub. And any feature that comes to the Cosmos Hub, first of all, starting with Gravity DEX and then Gravity Bridge, and then, future features that are incredibly exciting, like staking derivatives and interchain staking. Right? I can dive into those real quick. So staking derivatives is a way for people to hold on to tokens that represent their stake position on the Cosmos Hub. So let's say if you were to stake 10,000 Atom with Chorus 1 right now, right? That's basically it. You stake your atoms and then you wait, and you earn a very small number of atoms every single block. And maybe, every couple of weeks, every month or so, you withdraw your earned atom, and then you stake those as well. It's a little bit boring. And so what staking derivatives will offer is the ability to, the moment you stake, you get another token that represents your stake. And you can use that, just like any other IBC token, like Osmo or Ion, etc., and allow you to do things with that, like loan that out, stake that in another protocol, LP with it, trade with it, etc. So that's really exciting. That will be also supported in Emeris. And then interesting staking, sort of like a sort of a holy grail for the Cosmos Hub, which is a way for atom holders on the Cosmos Hub to use their atoms to secure multiple blockchains at the same time. Right. So you can imagine a future where, let's say, a blockchain like T-Grade or Osmosis or any of the blockchains that people are building in Cosmos today might share security with the Cosmos Hub. So I'll give an example. Osmosis right now, I think last I checked, has 9% of the total tokens staked as security, right? And there's over also $100 million worth of value locked in liquidity pools. So it's not a great situation to be in security-wise. Like the total security securing the network is nearly the same as the total value locked in pools. So you can argue that it's beginning to hit the limits of what a network can secure right now. But if the Cosmos Hub were to share, let's say, 30% of its security with Osmosis, the blockchain, right? The Cosmos Hub is roughly $3 billion US right now. And if we shared 1/3, let's share $1 billion worth of value to Osmosis, that would instantly increase the security of Osmosis by I don't know how much, 8 or 10 times what it is today, which should give further reassurance to everyone using Osmosis so they can start continuing to add liquidity to liquidity pools. So those atoms would earn both standard atom inflation, but they will also earn Osmo tokens by interchain staking. So you can see a future where validators on the Cosmos Hub might interchain stake with more than 2 chains.
That's awesome, yeah. And I think also one part of that is if you look at it from the other side, is basically this shared security model that smaller projects can also bootstrap liquidity, not bootstrap liquidity, but accelerate their time to market basically by getting access from the hub, from the security of the hub, right, of the Cosmos Hub, which would potentially also maybe be another use case for Atom, right? Once it goes live. I think that has been one of the main narratives behind the parachain auctions on Kusama and Polkadot, right? That, oh my God, projects have to buy DOT and KSM and lock them up. So it's going to be ultra scarce, right? So that has been one of the main narratives there. But I think that's also coming end this year, or is it coming early next year? What's the roadmap for that?
Right. So the two features I mentioned that are coming after Gravity Bridge, right? Gravity Bridge coming from Althea, the staking derivatives feature and the interchain staking feature, they're both being worked on in a collaboration between, Interchain and Informal Systems, the company led by Ethan Buckman. So I don't have as many details on when either of those will be released, but they'll definitely be up for proposal and voting on the Cosmos Hub when they're ready. I think, the latest estimate is around the end of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So anybody who's
so it is, fundamentally different than Polkadot, right? I think Polkadot really requires you to have shared security, otherwise you're not, part of the ecosystem. Whereas in Cosmos, it's an option. So in many ways, it's the interchain staking as a way for Atom holders to actually become venture capitalists and invest, the tokens they hold into securing new chains. That's how I really see it.
Right. I think the Polkadot slots are limited to 100 something, right? 100 something slots.
Yeah, it's like 100 chains for one parachain.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to say is, like, anybody who's watching this right now who's thinking, man, I have no clue what these guys are talking about. I made some other videos where I also break down the 2.0 roadmap, which came out a couple of weeks ago, in like broader, simpler terms, right? Because I wanted to make this for the cosmonauts today who are already pretty deep and understand the fundamentals of Cosmos. But if you're new to Cosmos, please watch my previous videos. There's also videos I made comparing Polkadot to Cosmos, also from the security model and those kind of things. But let's move on to Gravity DEX more specifically. It's launching on Monday, right? The proposal is up. July 12th, it's going to launch. So biggest question that everybody's asking, is Gravity DEX going to have their own governance token or not?
Right. That is a great question. The current plan is there is no governance token.
Okay.
No, the governance token just for Gravity DEX. The intention is for the Atom to be that governance token. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome, because I made 2 polls, one on Twitter, one on YouTube, and around, I think, 600 people participated, and most of them were actually saying, I want Atom to be the governance token and to basically have maximum exposure in Gravity DEX. So that's interesting. But yeah, so what can you do with it? So when it launches, right? Everybody has now experience with Osmosis, right, where you can trade IBC enabled blockchains there. What I get asked a lot is, man, there's no stable coins on Osmosis. Is it going to come on the Gravity DEX? Can you talk maybe about some points, some bullets, where how and where Gravity DEX differentiates to Osmosis, and what users can expect, not in terms of fundamentals or liquidity APYs or those kind of things. We're not speculating on those kind of things, but just from a product perspective.
Yeah, so from a product perspective, one way it differentiates itself from Osmosis is that it is, more secure. It's been audited by Simply VC, and it's also been, security audited by Lease Authority. So we've spent more time, hardening the protocol, and we have more guarantees that it'll work correctly, right? And especially because it'll be secured by more than $3 billion worth of atoms, it's a much more stable platform for protocols to build on top of, right? In many ways, an exchange protocol with Gravity DEX and the API that Gravity DEX provides is not just meant for end users like us. It's not just meant for the degen traders, but it's meant for people to build DeFi applications on top of. And we believe that due to the higher level of security on the hub and the amount of value that is backing Gravity DEX, it'll serve as a very secure and safe platform for people to build better tools on top of, better cross-chain tools on top of.
Right. Yeah, I think the whole topic now also around centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, we've seen a lot of heat coming up over the past few days, especially in UK with Binance and centralized exchanges.
Yeah, in fact, where I am right now in Toronto, right, Ontario just recently banned Binance as well. And I've had people reach out and ask me, hey, what's going on? Now that Binance is banned in this area of Canada, what can they use? And, Gravity DEX might be the answer there. So while Gravity DEX only allows, crypto to crypto transactions, right, and only has, 8 chains supported in the beginning, right? The fact that it supports IBC and the fact that so many chains, the likes of Thorchain and Terra and, Secret and many others are enabling IBC over the course of Q3, it's a very, very strong contender for, the future DEX that will contain all tokens, right? Especially once Gravity Bridge is live, there comes an influx of, several tens of thousands of more tokens from the Ethereum world.
And what are the plans about integrating stablecoins? Because I think, if I recall correctly, in the testnet competition for Gravity DEX, where I also played around with, there were a couple of stablecoins, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, stablecoins are extremely exciting for us. We have a number of initiatives on this front. The one that's, most likely to be used in the beginning anyway is not a stablecoin at all, but in fact an integration. So we're setting up a partnership with a team that can provide, access to Atom tokens directly within Emeris, right? So you wouldn't have to go to an exchange to buy Atoms, but instead you do it directly in Emeris through this partner. And then from there, they would be able to participate in the greater Interchain DeFi. That's the starting point, right? It's not a stable coin, but it's a way to get people.
Gateway, or?
It's a fiat gateway built into Emeris.
Right. That's interesting. I like that.
So that's going to be very helpful to onboard new people, right? Like, let's say you were to recommend Emeris to, your cousin who doesn't know about crypto right now. What's really cool is that they would be able to participate immediately as long as they have a credit card through this fiat gateway. But stablecoins themselves, something that we're working on as a team. We have a couple initiatives. One of which is with Cosmos Cash, right? That probably has the most sort of noise around it right now. But our engineering team is working with a partner in Malta to figure out a way to issue euro as IBC tokens. So these are not stable coins, but they're in fact digital euro issued by a central bank on the Cosmos. But that's only, that's only one currency. While a lot of people use the euro, it's not the whole world. So, another really common stablecoin right now is USDC. And we're actively speaking with Circle right now to figure out how to issue USDC on Cosmos IBC blockchains. I mean, clearly with Gravity Bridge coming soon, you will be able to access USDC, USDT, and all sorts of stablecoins that are currently on Ethereum. They would be easily brought over the Gravity Bridge. But we believe that a native, stablecoin issued on a Cosmos chain still makes the most sense. Obviously, there's one that exists right now already. There's more than one, right? But the one that most people might know of right now is UST, Terra's stablecoin. And Terra is actively working to upgrade to support IBC, in the coming months, probably in Q3. So we should look forward to having that stablecoin as well, accessible through Emeris. I very much agree with you. I think, for DeFi to really bloom, stablecoins must be supported, and there must be multiple options.
Yeah, especially in a DEX or AMM environment, because a lot of people, they don't want to be exposed to the volatile nature of cryptocurrencies. They rather prefer to earn yield by providing stablecoin pairs, right? And USDT, USDC are mostly the most liquid pairs on current Ethereum-based exchanges. But yeah, that's exciting. I mean, that's cool stuff. The Cosmos Cash thing, that's one thing I really have to do my homework on, because I hear things here and there, but I think I have to dig really deep into that and maybe also cover this in another episode.
I think if you wanted to set up a call with Alessio, he's heading the Cosmos Cash effort. I think your community would be really interested in hearing what he has to say about it.
Yeah,
it's a really cool innovation, and we believe that it's sort of the scalable way for actually a lot of institutions and potentially governments around the world to issue central bank digital currencies.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's also probably going to be one of the major narratives for the second half of the year, as we see China is basically leaps ahead with their CBDC, digital yuan. the Fed announced they're actively seeking also people from or projects from the crypto sector, to help them.
Yeah, really, we believe the coolest thing about the Cosmos solution, the Cosmos Cash solution in particular, is that it gives total sovereignty over these token issuers to the institutions themselves, right? There's no need for community members to run these chains, right? They can have multiple banks in a particular country, secure and issue this token, and if it requires a KYC AML process, they can require that. And if they want to integrate it within, their digital banking websites and web apps today and mobile apps, they can do so.
Yeah.
But it would also come with all this cross-chain infrastructure because of IBC and because of the Cosmos SDK.
Yeah, and I saw also I made a separate video on this a couple of weeks ago that Cosmos is also in the race for the Korean CBDC. So that's also interesting stuff there. And they're proposing a solution there. One big university and one of the largest commercial banks there. So yeah, there's so much going on all fronts, but I want to keep it this today more focused on Gravity and Emeris and also IBC. So before we move on to IBC and some of the ecosystem projects in Cosmos, what would be some game theoretic highlights that you could point out that are coming on Gravity DEX, in terms of farming opportunities, in terms of yield generation opportunities? Like what can users expect? What can they prepare for?
Yeah, I think users should prepare for almost anything to happen. So here's the thing. Osmosis did launch with liquidity mining incentives, and Gravity DEX will not launch with those, right? We, as an engineering team, we've decided to take a more conservative route towards implementing new features on the Cosmos Hub. It's a very valuable blockchain. In fact, the most valuable blockchain that's built on Cosmos SDK technology that's also decentralized, right? And we want to make sure we're doing the right thing and doing it correctly. So we're launching a platform that has no liquidity mining to start with. Uniswap didn't launch with us either, by the way. But we are actively looking at ways to make it possible for liquidity mining incentives to occur. And we're actively building solutions to that front. And it's really going to be up to the Atom holders and Atom stakers themselves to vote whether if they want to include this feature or not, and who to reward this to, and potentially what set of transactions will benefit from liquidity mining incentives.
And is also every transaction that routes through Gravity DEX and also through Emeris, is that going to be fueled by Atom, or is it optional? Which coin you want to?
Yeah, so it's all fueled by Atom.
Okay, all right.
The chain that we support, primarily with Emeris, and for the foreseeable future is going to be the Cosmos Hub, and all transactions through the hub are powered by the Atom.
Awesome. Okay. So let's move on to IBC and some of the ecosystem landscape here on Cosmos. We talked so much now about Osmosis, and I've covered it now a couple of times here also on my channel. How do you envision the future kind of like coexistence between Gravity DEX and Osmosis? I think a lot of people think or can't really understand, like, why do we need Osmosis if Gravity DEX goes viral, or vice versa, right? Can you talk about the long-term vision? And I think I read also somewhere or you said this also earlier, but I also read it in one of Osmosis documentation papers, that they're potentially going to share the security with the Cosmos Hub. So what are the long-term goals here with both projects?
Yeah, I think the really long-term goal of both projects is to create an ecosystem of cross-chain DeFi that expands beyond the size of any other ecosystem, right? That's always been the mission and vision behind Cosmos all along. It's going to be the way to bridge all chains together, right? And cross-chain DEXs that support IBC, like Osmosis and Gravity DEX, are going to be at the forefront of this. So why do we need multiple DEXs? You can ask the same question in Ethereum. Why are there hundreds of DEXs on Ethereum? That exists because there are different restrictions and also different priorities of various teams and different areas of DeFi that they want to focus on. And so it's difficult to encompass everything into one protocol, right? And that's why Cosmos was invented in the first place, to allow people to create, experiment with, and invent new protocols, potentially on other ecosystems, potentially, without sharing security with the Cosmos Hub. And that really allows them to move a lot faster than if all activity would happen on the Cosmos Hub itself. The idea of multiple DEXs is, sort of unstoppable, right? It's not just Osmosis and the Gravity DEX. There's also, CoinSwap on IrisNet. There's going to be Secret Swap, there's TerraSwap, there's, Thor Swap, etc. These are all DEXs that are going to be able to interoperate through the power of IBC. And what Emeris will allow over time is the ability to, use all the DEXs at once, find you the best exchange rate, depending on which DEX you're using, and in fact, aggregate all of those together. And as far as, what this means for the Gravity DEX and Osmosis and, other DEXs in general, I think it is the ambition of Atom holders and the ambition of the Gravity DEX to have the largest liquidity pools in the entire Interchain ecosystem. And everything that we're building, at Tendermint for the Gravity DEX protocol and everything we're building within Emeris is designed to support this narrative.
Awesome, yeah. And I think you're on point there. Like on Ethereum, we have so many big exchanges that have billions in value locked. Uniswap was first, then Sushi came, copied the code, packed a token to it, and then Uniswap came out with their own token, and then 1inch came and brought it all together. So it's all kind of evolving. And so I think also the more the better, because it drives innovation eventually. And I think
we're all multi-chain maximalists here, right? And the reason why we believe in Cosmos and we hold atoms is we believe in a resilient future with lots of chains and lots of alternatives, especially for DEXs. And, just looking at Ethereum, it can be argued that the more DEXs an ecosystem has, the more popular and more well used it is.
Right. And also that's kind of like the whole part of creating those synergies between projects, right? Because right now, for example, you can't send, well, you can, but in a centralized way, Bitcoin to the Ethereum network, right? But if there was a completely trustless way to do that, that would be awesome, right? So maybe in the future, through Cosmos, that would also be
Cosmos Tech, Cosmos SDK is very, very well designed for trustless bridges. And that's why, the Gravity Bridge, which is coming to the Cosmos Hub, is put onto the Cosmos Hub in the first place. Because, there are so many, sort of centralized security solutions for bridges that are, sort of really dangerous to be using. And Cosmos provides a solution there.
Yeah, I think one of the most recent kind of incidents, nothing happened, but it blew up also on social media, is the Polygon network and their bridge, right? And how it also only depends on just a few people who could crash the whole thing or could, get hacked or whatever. So but we're still early. It's still early, immature technology, the whole space. But glad to see that you guys are taking a more conservative approach, like I said, also with Gravity DEX, learn from others as well, but also have security audits. That's also something that is still extremely underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, like space. Polygon, being secured by like a 5 out of 8 multi-sig, and Binance Smart Chain being secured by 21 Binance validators. They're not really that decentralized, right? You look at the Cosmos Hub sort of, and the validator set there. In fact, the Cosmos Hub validators were really the very first proof of stake validators to ever exist in the world. And in fact, a lot of the documentation and even events like Game of Stakes and Game of Zones are widely copied with other, proof of stake ecosystems. So we have something very special here, something that's very secure, very decentralized, and we're building this infrastructure, to last for the next 100 years. So it's a long game, right? It's a marathon, and we're building very solid products, that ideally can't be hacked. And that's why things take longer than you expect.
Right. But that's probably the right approach. And you guys have been in the game for so long now. I think when Jake Won founded Tendermint, when was it, 2014? I think I even read some documentations and very old papers with Jay and also Ethan Buchman about proof of stake consensus algorithm, right? Back in the days, I wrote papers with when he wrote together with Vlad Zamfir, who is also one of the core researchers at Ethereum, or used to be, not anymore, I think. But yeah, so that's really, really cool. And I think still that Cosmos is a project that has one of the least hype, but it's getting more and more onto everyone's map simply because it works, right? It works. You guys,
Cosmos is inevitable. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, Cosmos Land, and especially for our engineering team, we have a motto of safety over liveness. And what that means is making sure we're doing everything correctly, double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking things to make sure they work properly. Because we believe that, to build a secure foundation for, ecosystem of millions of chains, the base layers need to be very, very strong and very much hardened. So that's always been our engineering philosophy, and I think it's worked very well for us, right? We have over $60 billion worth of value secured by Cosmos SDK blockchains, and there are very few ecosystems that can beat this.
Yeah. And Elon, if you're watching this, I think the best thing you could do with Dogecoin is just migrate over to Cosmos. It will be faster. You don't need Dogecoin core devs, whoever they are. I don't even know if they still exist. But yeah, and you would have full interoperability here. So that's something.
Yeah. As much as you can, make all of Bitcoin and Dogecoin mining, environmentally friendly and use purely renewable sources, right? It's still better to use, 100,000 times less energy with a Tendermint Cosmos SDK based blockchain, right? Yes, the trade-off is you have fewer validators, but the environmental impact is just so much smaller that it's sort of a no-brainer.
Right. And so you already just mentioned, and I think then we can also wrap it up. But you already mentioned the 60 billion worth of value that is running or secured on Cosmos. Can you talk us through just a few projects that you find really exciting that are running on Cosmos, and also what's their plan to become a part of all this, right? You already said Terra is going to implement, for example, IBC. So what are some other projects that you find exciting that are in the Cosmos ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a couple of projects that don't have as much, fame right now, or aren't talked about as much because they are in such active development. So one of which is called T-Grade. You probably have heard of T-Grade. It's being developed by Confio, whose CEO is Ethan Frey. So Ethan Frey actually developed the very first version of the Cosmos SDK back in 2017. And he was part of the Tendermint team, in fact, one of the first 10 employees. And what he and his team are building with T-Grade, right, supported by the Ocean Blue Foundation, is a regulated DeFi platform that supports COSM natively, right? They are also the team that built COSM, and they have some really incredible, I think, DeFi applications that will launch alongside this blockchain. And I'm really excited to see what it will bring to Cosmos as a whole.
But the chain is not live yet, right?
No, it's not live yet. I believe they're hoping to launch it this year. That's as much detail as I have. But just the fact that that it's built by the creators of WASM, and the fact that WASM is so widely used in the ecosystem, right? I think it's most widely used in Terra right now to support a lot of their projects and products built on top of the Terra blockchain. But the fact that it's so usable and that more developers are learning to use WASM every day, I think it's going to form a very compelling alternative to Solidity over the long term. It solves a lot of issues with Solidity, and the fact that it's also built on Cosmos SDK. So yeah, we should really see the performance of that smart contract shine.
So that's basically the Cosmos version of WebAssembly, right? Which enables multiple.
Yeah, let me explain a little bit. It's not the Cosmos version of WebAssembly. What it is a way for people to write smart contracts in any language. Right. Right now, Rust is only supported to write smart contracts in any language, and then to deploy it through a COSM, through a WASM interpreter as a Cosmos SDK module. So we're using, vanilla WASM here, which is an engine that's supported by all major web browsers, right? it's a way to make very highly performant apps in the web browser. But what COSM WASM did was it take this web assembly interpreter from web browsers and stuck it into the Cosmos SDK. So whatever sort of apps that you could potentially build for COSM WASM on the web, you can build it as a Cosmos SDK smart contract.
Awesome. So what are some other projects that you're looking forward to?
Right. So another project that has just recently kicked off is one called Umi. So this project is also made by one of our ex-employees, Brent Zhu. He has a very deep background and a lot of connections in the Ethereum ecosystem. And what he's building with Umi is a lending and borrowing platform that is cross-chain. So it's meant for both Ethereum ecosystem people and Cosmos ecosystem people, and a way for you to actually lend out your atoms or other IBC tokens, earn yield on that, and also for you to borrow assets.
Interesting. And yeah, I think also one project that I'm personally looking forward to that just launched basically is Regen Network, right? They're also doing something really cool with their carbon credits marketplace, and also the first kind of like IDO, if you want to call it like that, on Osmosis. So maybe we can wrap it up with the last question here, because also I know your time is very limited and you're super busy, but also the attention span of the crypto community is super low these days. So how do you envision the future of project launches, right? Is Gravity DEX also going to have something like Osmosis, where you have those liquidity bootstrapping pools, or what's the game plan here?
Yeah, so I have one sentence for this, which is stay tuned for Starport Network. We'll have more to announce about this in Q3, but in one short summary, it is a blockchain that you use to launch other blockchains, right? So it's meant to be the Cosmos Launchpad, the Cosmos fundraiser platform, and it's going to benefit people in the ecosystem. It's also going to benefit the growth of the ecosystem heavily. We've been working so hard. We launched Starport, the CLI tool, last year, roughly a year ago, and we've gotten so many positive impressions of it. There are people actively building chains with Starport every single day, but we're still missing one key component, right? The component where you allocate tokens and also where you get validators. Right now, all of that happens off-chain, right? Generally, you create a Genesis file off-chain. You find validators by emailing Cosmos Hub validators, and it's a very sort of lengthy and time-consuming process, and it requires developers anyway to also have a marketing arm and a business development arm to actually be able to convince these validators to validate for their chain. It's not easy. So we're going to build all of this as a protocol with Starport Network, and we'll have more to say in Q3.
Awesome. Yeah, really excited for everything that's coming up. Glad to see that also more and more content creators are starting to recognize that there's a lot going on here, and on all fronts, right? We talked about Cosmos Cash, we covered IBC, we covered AMMs and DEXs. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate that. I would love to have you on anytime when there's something. So really, really enjoyed that conversation. I think there's a lot of value there. I'll link your Twitter down below. I think everybody should at least follow you, because you also tweet out a lot of super valuable content around everything that's happening in the Cosmos ecosystem. So yeah, if there's any final words, anything else that you want to share, any final say, then please do so. And again, thanks for your time.
Yeah, I'm super appreciative of being here. Well, thanks for inviting me on to the show, and thanks for all the listeners for tuning in, because we wouldn't be able to build this without the support of everyone here, and the community is what makes Cosmos strong.
All right, man. Thanks. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.